Today we hear about two widows who gave from their want, from their whole livelihood. The widow at Zarephath, and here this widow that Jesus spots at the treasury of the temple. And we might begin to wonder, well, how prudent are they to give all that they had to live on in charity to someone or something in need? You would think that, as the saying goes, they would learn that charity begins at home. Some years ago, when I was serving in another diocese with many pockets of poverty, there was a national collection for some people who lived in Asia who suffered from a great tsunami. Maybe you recall it. And so there was a request to all of the parishes in my diocese to take up a collection. I learned later on that a pastor unilaterally decided not to take up the collection because he said his people were so very poor and it would be a hardship for them to participate. Well, some of the parishioners found out about that and they complained. Are not our contributions worth something? Can't we also participate in this? Just because we give a little, does that mean that it is not meaningful? They were complaining that they felt disrespected, that they also had some dignity about being able to give and to help. I think that's what's at issue here in these two scenes of these widows, something that Jesus recognizes about this widow. She gives in a way that demonstrates her self-dignity, her appreciation that she has something to offer, even though it is so very little and in fact is from her want. I think so often in life we forget about that in terms of the great dignity that so many people show each and every day by giving of themselves, and even though it costs them a lot. I think of those married couples as they grow older and they care for one another in their infirmity, and they're spending their whole time and energy taking care of the other. And of course of mothers who bring a child into the world in which she sacrifices her very life in order to bring new life. And I think of those first responders who protect us in our streets, who give all that they have in order to make us safe. And in that regard, I hope that you would join me in praying for the officer Enrique Martinez who was shot this last week and killed in the line of duty, and pray for him and his family, asking the Lord to comfort them and to bring him into eternal life. There are so many instances of people each and every day who give of their want, and all they would ask of us is that we respect and honor their dignity. I imagine that Jesus, as he saw this widow at the treasury, recognized that in a few days he would give all that he had to give on the cross, in many ways identified with this woman. That was his real dignity, his ability to give of himself, even though it cost his very life. That is what we celebrate here in the Eucharist. It's an opportunity for us to learn to have that opportunity to take on a new vision of our life, of what our real dignity means. Our dignity doesn't come from the resources that we have, how much we have in our bank account, what title we have, how people respect us, our esteem or fame, but rather it comes in our ability to give of ourselves for others. And in many cases, like the people that I mentioned earlier, to give everything they have in order for others to benefit. It's important for us in the Eucharist, as we hear Jesus says, "This is my body given for you, my blood poured out for you," that we're called to do the same as well. Yes, maybe we're not going to be giving all that we have for the temple treasury or in generosity to others because of the responsibilities that we have. But whatever we give, whenever we give of ourselves in a generous way, it's an opportunity to recapture our human dignity. Like that pastor learned from his parishioners who were very poor. They wanted to make sure that he understood that no matter what they gave, They gave it because they had self-respect. They wanted to make sure that their dignity was regarded and respected. Let us then in this Eucharist once again recapture our human dignity and realize that we are given the power to make a difference in the lives of others by giving our lives for one another.